so much for coming. I really, really appreciate it. I know now for a fact, because I had not been a mom before until about 2 years ago. So now that I'm an actual parent, I don't sympathize with you all anymore. I empathize. I understand the sacrifices that you have to make. Thinking about dinner, are we gonna grab dinner? Are we just gonna pick something up? Oh my goodness, if I do pizza again, that's like the third pizza they've had this week. I can't eat the vegetable. Oh my goodness, homework. What am I gonna do? Who's gonna take the kid? I get it. I know it's a lot. So I really appreciate the sacrifice that you all made to come today. I really, really, really do. I do understand that you are your child's first and most influential teacher, so it is just my job to support you. I have them for 180 days, you have them for the next 180 years, so I just want to be here to support you. A little bit about me that you probably won't find on the website. I'm actually a product of Atlanta Public Schools. I went to Sarah Smith Elementary School right down the street, and then I graduated from Frederick Douglass High School. As mentioned, I am a parent. My daughter Lillian, she is 18 months. And I'm in that stage of parenting where I put her down, like my husband and I, we put her down at 8 o'clock for bedtime, and we book it to the pantry. And because I can't eat anything when she's around, I can't eat my goodies, I can't eat the ice cream because it's always like, can I have some? Or, we're trying to do our best to just let her eat healthy things, but I have to face it, like my husband and I, we don't eat healthy. So we have like the healthy stuff in reach for her, and then in the pantry when she goes to bed, we just take out the cereal and the Hershey's Kisses and just anything I can get. So that's, just in case you were wondering, that's my life at 8 o'clock. And then around 8:03, I go into a food coma and my day's done. And I'm too tired to continue on. And then just please keep in mind, I am human. I'm strong because I'm human, but I'm also weak because I'm human. So I will have typos, at some points. Those are probably the nights that I didn't get enough pantry food. I woke up just hungry. I will have typos. I will get sick. I will get anxious. I'll forget things, but I promise you, I will do my absolute best, even though I will have these human moments, to make sure that your child is successful and grows within my care. Okay? All right, next one, since my little thing is not working. We're going to talk about the following things today: contacting the teacher, safety, dismissal, flexible seating, homework, weekly report, bee-binders, pre-test, a day in the life of a busy bee, pets, and customer service, and then we'll have questions at the very end. So first, contacting the teacher. Please use the Miss Waye's Busy Bees at Gmail email address instead of the KWWAYE at Atlanta, that long thing. And the reason is, I only receive the APS address emails right to this wonderful laptop they gave me for being a great teacher. And I don't take it home. So that means if you email me using that address, I'm not going to get it until I return back to school. So you can use it, for example, if it's something that's not really that important, I can wait until the next morning to see it. But I would still prefer to you use this one because it goes straight to my phone, and a lot of times if I'm coming back from, dropping the kids off at specials, I can literally, just on my phone right there, I can respond to you. So I really do try to take pride in responding to you and getting you fast answers because I know I have one of the most valuable things in your life, in my hands. So if I can do my best to respond to you quickly, I definitely will. And please keep in mind when you're emailing me, if you could just do me a favor, instead of responding to an email that I might have already sent, so for example, and some parents are naughty at this, but it's okay, I haven't explained it yet, but you'll respond to that first email that I sent, hey, the welcome, and so literally, if I go in my Gmail account, I see that email that I sent, and it's like 30 emails, all from that, and they're all on dismissal changes here, so it's a little hard for me when I go back and try to read something again, or try to find something, I literally have to go back and say, okay, which one was it? So if it's a new subject, just, try to put in a new subject, if it's a dismissal change, or whatever it may be, just put that in the subject line. Conference times, I'm available Mondays 9:30, Tuesdays 7:15, Wednesdays 9:30, Thursdays 7:15 and 9:30, and Fridays 7:15 and 9:30. But of course I will be, and this is all on our website, so you don't have to take a picture of it. I got you covered, parents. It's already on the website. But of course I'm flexible if you need to meet some, outside of those times. I can definitely try to work with you. And I put down the 3 proposed dates for our conference. This year we are not too sure. We're actually taking a vote as a staff to see which date we'll use, especially now that we have that new November 6th date. We're kind of leaning more towards that because we know many of you may have chosen to go out of town for October 8th or 9th. So as soon as I know, I promise I will send that email and let you all know. I will also have a sign up unit so you can go ahead and start signing up for those conference dates, okay? All right, weekly report. This is probably like the second weekly report that I think I've sent out already. This is probably the most important thing that I will send you. It's our newsletter, it's your progress report, it's everything kind of all wrapped up into one sheet. And I have an example for you. Oh, where did I? Let me go to it. And then let's kind of talk about some of the components on the weekly report, because I really want you to be able to get the most out of this weekly report. So of course we have the student name here. Here in this area, so right here, we have the participation grades. So you'll notice though, your baby will either get a check, and sorry if I say baby, it's really because I know they're still your babies. I'm in that stage of parenting too where she's 18 months and people are calling her toddler. I'm like, no, she's my baby. I can't even think about her being a toddler. I just want her to stay cute and small forever. Okay, so you'll see that your baby has either a check, meaning they did all their work, they participated fully. Even if they didn't understand the concept fully, they tried their best, that's what they'll get a check for. Check minus means that they may or may not have did all their work, or they may or may not have participated as much as they should. And then the X just means they did not participate at all. All right, test grades will go over here in this section. So let's look at this, our little friend example and last name student. Example student, when I look at test grades over here, for math, she did really, really well, or he or she, will say she, did really well. They got a 96 in math. Now you as a parent might say, okay, well, what did you do? What were you learning in math? So this is where this section comes in. So what was I learning for the week of August 13th? In math, we were talking about place value, and we were in topic 9, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those topics in just a second. Excuse me. So you can know as a parent, like, oh, okay, well, you really have a good understanding of place value. So then let's go here to language arts, and you can see that in language arts we have 3 assessments, spelling, reading, and grammar, but for this week we only took a spelling test, and that's why the reading and the grammar is grayed out. So for spelling you see, oh, not too well, you got a 60. Well, the first thing you might want to ask yourself is, well, what happened? What were you learning? What happened? Well, you can kind of go back and see, look at that participation grade, and that might be able to tell you, well, okay, they might not have did their work as much as they should, or they might not have participated as much as they should. That could be a cause for the low score. And another thing you can do, well, let's go down and see, what were you learning in phonics? Spelling and phonics, interchangeable. So phonics, we were talking about the CK rule, and that's unit 1 in foundations. So you as a parent, that's when, I want to empower you. That might be your time to say, okay, well, let me go back, let me look at the CK rule. You might need to practice this over the weekend a little bit more. As we go down here to social studies and science, they got a 100, so you're like, great, you're doing a great job. But you as a parent might also want to say, you're doing so well in that, I wonder what you're learning next, so we can go ahead and start exposing you to those things. So you can look down here for social studies. It said we were talking about Georgia regions, so obviously you have a great mastery of Georgia regions. But for next week, we're going to be talking about Georgia regions and rivers. So you as a parent might want to say, hey, we have the Chattahoochee River right here in the Piedmont region. Maybe this weekend we can all go to the Chattahoochee River and do whatever. And then when you get to school on Monday, you can have a great experience to share with the classmates and Miss Waye about how you already went to the Chattahoochee River. Okay? So that's how we read this section. So basically this section, the test grades, and these 2 sections right here, they go hand in hand. So if your child did not do well, please, by all means, go back to this section, see what we were learning, see what they might need some extra support in. If your child did really well, go ahead and look at this section and say, what can I go ahead and expose you to, what can I move you on to, so that you're prepared for the next week or the next couple of weeks. In this section I shout out the parents. I really want to recognize the parents that are giving their time, money, energy. I really appreciate you all. If you do something for me and I leave you out, please, 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 charge it to my head and not my heart. And this actually happened this year. So a sweet little parent, I don't know who you are, but you bought me Timothy hay. And so when the kiddos left for specials, it was just kind of right there by cheesecake. And so I'm like, well, who gave me Timothy hay? So when the kids came back, I'm like, hey babies, who gave me Timothy hay? And no one spoke up. I'm like, no one remembers buying me Timothy hay? No one. So of course I'm like, well, I don't know who to shout out because no one wants to, confess to. So I'm like, okay, maybe a little leprechaun just dropped it off or something. So that happens a lot where you will, donate things and your baby will, just drop it off and then they'll totally forget about it. And so I don't want you to come here and think, Miss Waye didn't, did you not get it or something? It's most likely I did receive it, but I might not know, who it came from. So I do apologize in advance if you don't see your name right here. All right. And Mr. Nolan just arrived. I'm going to introduce him right after I'm done with the weekly report. And down here, this very important section, the buzzworthy news. Even if you see that number one doesn't look like it's changed, I promise you I really do change these every single week. So I don't want you to say, oh, she talked about the donations last week. This is the same one. I promise it's not the same one. I did change some of the wording and some of the other things. So just go ahead and make sure that you read that. And then of course at the end, sometimes you'll see I'll put comments here. You can also put comments here. You want to just skip the writing part. If you're like me, I prefer to type actually. You want to email me something that you may have been concerned about on the weekly report, please don't hesitate to do so. You'll sign it here, and then you'll put it back in your baby's bee binder, and then in the morning, they are responsible for putting their weekly report right here in the notes for the teacher band. And they know to do it in the morning, and we're still working on that, making sure they do it in the morning, because if you do put a special note on there, I would like to see it in the morning so that I need to have that rest of the day to do whatever, may need to be done with that. All right, but I wanted to go back up here because it said math topic 9, so you might be thinking, well, what's a topic? Topics are just like chapters. Here at Morningside in 2nd grade, we're using the Pearson Realize Envisions program. I absolutely love it. I love it because it's a great connection between what we're doing here at school, the vocabulary, the language, and what you're doing or how you can support us here at home. So I'm going to go to that site, and the lovely Eleanor has allowed me to use her profile. So when you go to the Pearson Realize site, and that site is already, they have their login cards. I already put those in their bee binders. It should be in that little pencil pouch. If you did not receive one, no problem. Mr. Nolan actually typed them up, so I have an electronic file, which I've never did before. I always hand wrote them, so this year I have an electronic file. So if you need it again, I don't mind. I can just reprint it. Okay, so that information is on that card. So when you first go here, you'll see My Work and Explore. I prefer for you to kind of stay with the My Work. So when you click on My Work, you'll see a slew of assignments. So what I do, boys and girls. So this is the teacher in me. Ladies and gentlemen, what I do, I assign the entire topic. So I do not want you to look at this and say, you haven't been doing any work. What are all these assignments? I just assign them if you want them. They do not have to complete them. But this is great support if you felt like your baby may have needed it, or if you just want to move them ahead, it's on there. What I really love, if you go to a specific topic, let's click on 910, anything that has an eye on it has a video. So I know a lot of parents complain about Common Core, the language, how you want them, why do you have to skip count, just do it like this, the old way. So you might not be familiar with that way. What I love is if you click on the video will show you exactly how we're doing it in class, so that's the exact way that you can do it there at home. So I really love the videos, anything with the eyes of video, and they normally have games on here and things of that nature. But Pearson Realize is a great site, and like I said, do not get scared if you see all these assignments. I will also normally push out the post test. That will also be on here so they can practice those things as well. And I want to cut my things short really quick because we have, can you tell me your last name again?
It's okay, Tim Coons.
Tim Coons, yes, from the foundation up here.
Hey,
Pearson Realize, just a really great site. Let me go back to where I was. All right. And the other thing I wanted to show you was, where was I? Okay, yes. So just in case now let's say your scholar didn't do well with something phonics related. So go to our class website, go to homework, and then here you can click on where it says click here for an introduction to foundations. You can click on that. That'll kind of explain some of the things, our actual reading curriculum. Or you can click on this one, Foundations Phonics Extra Practice Worksheets. And this is going to take you right to all of the worksheets for foundations. So for example, that weekly report said we were on Unit 2. You just click on Grade 2, Unit 2, and then all the sheets dealing with the CK rule or whatever rule we were learning about will all pull up and it'll download. And you can download those and print them out if you would like your scholar to work on it. And what I also love is they also have a parent letter at the very beginning that explains what that rule is, because I know you may be saying, the CK rule, it'll explain what it is in the foundations. All right. Let me see, here I go back. Yep. And we're back. All right, any questions with the weekly report while I can answer them? If you do have a question, text it to me, and then at the end of the show, I can read it off. All right, next one, homework. Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, to please sign the bottom of the homework calendar. You do not have to initial for every day. Just sign it one time at the bottom. I will trust and believe that your scholar did actually read every day. Remember, they have to put their name at the top, so if I don't see their student name, then they won't get credit. And your child is responsible for turning that in right over here in the notes for the teacher band. They're always due on a Friday, normally the last last Friday in that month, so they'll always know to come in and turn them in. A lot of times I will have reminders up here to turn them in, and I will also, verbally remind them, hey, have your if you have your homework calendars, go ahead and turn them in. If you need an extra copy of the homework calendar, you can also find that right there on our class website. Any questions on homework? All right, dismissal. I'm changing it starting on Monday. So, and a lot of teachers are actually with our new dismissal policy. So with the new dismissal policy, we're asking parents, if you have a transportation change or if you have a dismissal change, please contact Ms. Harris or Ms. Lenoir in our front office. You can find both of their emails on the Morningside staff website. The reason that is because in my unfortunate absence, if I'm having a human moment and I'm stuck at home in the bed and I'm not checking my emails, and if you decide, if you're emailing me, hey, so-and-so is going to so-and-so, and I don't check it, then the baby may get lost or just not go to their correct transportation method. Instead, if you go ahead and email Ms. Harris or Ms. Lenoir, they will buzz down and they will ensure that whoever is in this room, whether it be me or even a substitute teacher, they will get that message and they will make sure that your baby gets home safely. All right? You can always follow up with a reminder text. I want to, where's Ms. Martha Grace's mom? She does great. She's always, hey, just to remind you, so-and-so and so it's today, so they're going here. I don't mind that at all, but the first point of contact is always going to be Miss Harris or Miss Lenoir. And then just keep in mind, and this is a school policy this year, that no dismissal changes can be made after 1 o'clock. So if you haven't, communicated with us before before 1 o'clock, then we're not going to change the dismissal method for that day. All right, safety. Some of you may have already know this. I know Miss Excel knows this because I had her baby last year. I do keep the door locked. It's just so much research has suggested that is one of the easiest things we as teachers can do in this climate that we're in, this culture that we're in now, unfortunately, to just keep our baby safe. So you will notice during the day, most of the time our door is going to be closed and it will be locked. So I just ask for your patience when you come as a mystery reader, or if you're coming at another time, not be a little patient with us. Sometimes we're just so engrossed with making an edible map that we don't even hear it. So just give us a little time. I promise we're coming to the door. But I'm only doing that, it's just a safety measure, and it's just to keep your baby safe. Your child safety is my #1 priority, and I even teach them that. Before I can teach you all anything, Ms. Waye and Mr. Nolan, we have to keep you safe. We just need to make sure. So I will sometimes do things that are a little inconvenient, to make sure that your child is safe. Kind of like buckling your baby in when they were toddlers. I can't wait till she actually gets to the point where she can buckle herself in, because it's just so. But we do it just to keep them safe. All right. And then flexible seating. As you all know, we do have flexible seating in the classroom. I'll let you read that on your own. We have 4 options. We have our ball chairs, we have the desk cycles, we have bouncy bands normally on the end of the table, and then the wobble cushions are underneath the computers, and I think I'm missing one. I can't remember if I'm missing one. The students are allowed to rotate every month. They're allowed to choose a new seat if they would like to, so they can get familiar with all the seating options. I, of course, as the teacher, do have the final say-so on where they can sit, but I really am a strong proponent of being able to move and sit where you need to sit to do your best work. And it's actually really great for a classroom management strategy, because I can always tell the boys and girls, like, hey, look, if you're not using your seat right, if you haven't picked what we call a smart spot, then Ms. Waye is going to, pick your spot, and that kind of helps to straighten them up. But I do ask sometimes the ball chairs, especially the balls, and it, nothing maliciously, but sometimes they do pop, their pencils or scissors, it really can be an accident. So if you do get an email from me, saying, hey, ball chair pop, would you mind just purchasing a new ball? Don't be mad, it's most likely it was just an accident. But if you wouldn't mind just going to Amazon, I can see new link and everything. It'll probably be under like $15 just to buy us a new ball, so that we can continue to use that chair. All right, bee binders. Please check it daily. I do my best to make sure I send home as much as I can on Mondays, but it's unfortunate we live in a crazy world, so a lot of times I will get things from the school on Tuesday, and I've already sent everything home on Monday. Depending on what the item is, sometimes I will wait to that following Monday, or if I know I need to go ahead and send it home with you, I'll go ahead and send that home. Try to keep it current as much as possible, meaning put the current month's homework calendar actually in there, so once we get to September, you can take that August homework calendar out. The reason I actually encourage you all to buy the bee binder instead of just doing the Wednesday folders is because I would like you all to kind of have a one-stop shop. So when you come to conferences or anything that may happen, you have everything in one binder. So those little subject tabs, in the subject tabs, after the subject tab, you can put any pre-tests or any assessments that I send home. Normally, I wouldn't suggest that you put their classwork because, you'll need at least 7,000 binders for that. So maybe just the assessments. Another thing you can keep in there are the weekly reports, and I know you may be thinking, but you tell us to turn those in. You can make a copy of the weekly report if you would like to. You can use apps like Tiny Scanner if you want to kind of scan it and keep it that for your own file. Additional copies of anything that's in the B-binder can be found on our class website, so if it becomes lost and you need to replace some items on it, just go to our class website, and I think you just click on the picture and it downloads everything for you. We do use the B-binder instead of the Wednesday folder. Actually, the Wednesday folders are what you have right now this year. They did them a little differently. They are absolutely beautiful folders, but unfortunately the quality is, some of them are already tearing at the edge, so I just kind of knew in my head that's not going to work as the Wednesday folder this year. It's not as durable as we like it, but it's a gorgeous folder, it really is. And then one more thing, you won't see a lot of worksheets being brought home. I mean, you will see worksheets, but I try to do as much as I can that's hands-on learning. I just feel that's the way I learned when I was a kid, and I just think that's what, 3 years down the line, they'll remember the edible map. They're not going to remember the worksheet about Georgia. They're just not. Just like, any other human. So I don't want you to get too scared, like, well, one of my kids, every Wednesday, it's like this much work they're sending home, and then here in Ms. Waye's class, I might get a sheet or here, like, well, are y'all doing any work? I promise, they're doing work. It just might not be a lot of worksheets. Pre-test, you will also see that I give pre-tests in math, and the pre-test really just helps to guide my instruction. For example, I gave them the pre-test on place value, and I saw that first grade did a phenomenal job with comparing numbers, so it was something that I did not have to spend a whole day on like other classes, or at other times I didn't just have to waste that learning time. I was able to already assess. I already knew they knew that. I could just kind of move on. Of course, I mentioned it, but I didn't have to really focus on that because I already see that the students knew that. But I know if they didn't know it, or if I saw a weakness from the pretest, then that really helped guided me on what I needed to do when they come back for guided math. So they come back for me in small groups and guided reading, and they come back for me in small groups with guided math. And pretest scores do not count towards their grade. So when I give you the pretest, and I normally try to give you the pretest like the week they'll take the post-test. So for example, I sent the pretest for place value home on Monday because they'll take the post-test on place value tomorrow actually, okay? But the pretest scores, the pretest do not count. So even if you see a score at the top, it's not counting. I really only took a score just so we can measure growth at the end. And honeybee and cheesecake. Okay, please sign up to take our pets home. We do have someone taking cheesecake home this week, but that following week we don't. I know a lot of parents are like, well, I want to give everyone a chance to take her home first before I sign up again. Just sign up. Because I'd rather for her to go home with someone than for you to just, kind of wait around thinking another parent's going to sign up. Just go ahead and just sign up, take her home. I'd much rather prefer for her to be in a nice, loving home over the weekend than, stuck at school. We always need parakeet food, cage bedding, Timothy hay, lettuce, tomatoes, strawberries, kale. All those are welcome donations. You can send those in every day if you would like. I think I told another parent who was taking cheesecake home, anytime I have tacos, of course, I'm always bringing that extra lettuce that we don't need, any extra celery that we have, that's normally cheesecake food. So if it's the same for you, please don't throw those vegetables away. Send them my way. Cheesecake will eat them. Birds go home on long breaks over 4 days, so they don't normally go home on the weekend, but cheesecake is available to go home every weekend. And again, don't be afraid to sign up to take cheesecake home again, okay? The good thing about it is, if your baby is begging you for a pet, it's just a weekend. Bring them right on back. You don't have to worry about it again, or maybe until the next weekend. All right, spreading smiles. Some of you may have already noticed that your baby might have brought home a sheet that kind of looks like this. So I really try to instill kindness in the boys and girls. I really want them to understand that even more than being smart, even more important than anything else, it's really just being kind. You can even get the job of your life just by having some manners and being kind. It doesn't sometimes always matter if you're the smartest, or you have your doctor, or you went to Yale. And that's great, it's great, but if you're a mean person, it's not so great. So I really try to, tell them that we always want to choose kindness. Kindness is an option, and we always want to choose it. So I also want to recognize the boys and girls that choose kindness. So they do this all on their own. If they see someone in the classroom making a kind choice, and they get to fill it out, you make me smile today by so and so and so and so, and then they'll sign their name. Every Monday I read these, and then whoever has the most gets to spin our little wheel and pick a treat. The boys and girls who at least received one, I tell them to show them to you all, And then all you have to do is just text me or you just email me saying, hey, they showed me their spreading smile. I'm just so happy that, they're showing kindness. And I say, great job. When they come in the morning, then they are able to get a treat from the treat box. So if you hear your baby getting a spreading smile, please celebrate it. Great job. I'm so proud of you. Keep them up. Next week maybe you'll get 2, or next week, I want you to even get 3. Okay, item locations. We do have a class lost and found. It's actually located right underneath Miss James. And I know that's important because let that be your first stop before you go down to the big one. So if you're missing a coat, a jacket already, it might already be in there. And then Cheesecakes, Cage, and Pet Supplies. I know you're right. Why do I need to know where that's at? Because last year when we had those hurricane days, I had a parent that, thank God, came to the school and rescued my poor little Cheesecake who had been here without food for like 2 days. And so I'm on the phone with her trying to tell her, the cage is over here and with the polka dots. And she's like, girl, your whole room is polka dots. Like, I don't know what's up. I'm going to show everyone now where Cheesecake's extra cage is at. Right here. So if you ever need to come and save Cheesecake for me, please know those pet supplies over there. And we also have the ones that we kind of use daily right here underneath this desk. Okay? So come and save Cheesecake if we have another hurricane. But hopefully we won't. All right, and a day in the life of your busy bee. So we start off with morning choices. I love to give boys and girls choices in the morning. I'm one of those morning people that I just like everything to be calm. And when I walk into my workplace, I don't necessarily want someone telling me you need to do this first. You have to do it. I would prefer to be able to make my own choice. I know what I need to do. I would like to be able to prioritize it myself and say, okay, well, I know I need to make copies. No, I need to get down here. So I try to give the students that same respect. I try to think of them sometimes as little small adults. So I give them that same respect. When you come in, there are certain things that you have to do, but you can do them whenever you need to do them. You don't always have to come in and right then you have some work to do. You have the work to do, but if you want to, these are your options. So their options are they can get on the Chromebooks provided for our foundation. They can complete any unfinished work. They can go down to the library. They can take AR quizzes. Sometimes you'll even see them organizing their desks. Of course, they can read. I think I'm missing one other thing. Oh, and of course, they have to make sure their pencils are sharpened and they use the restroom for the day. But when do they use the restroom or when do they sharpen their pencils? They want to come and do it right when they walk in? Fine. If they want to wait a little bit until the 5-minute bell rings and then they do it, that's fine too. I don't mandate that they do it at a certain time. So after morning choices, we listen to or watch our morning announcements actually on the Promethean board, and then we have our morning meeting. It's always led by a classroom secretary. Our classroom secretary this week is Ariel. So they come over here and they update our calendar and weather. We talk about how many days we've been in school. We take our attendance, and then we share good news. I love sharing good news in the morning. We share it with Alfie. I know it sounds crazy, and I know sometimes you probably think your babies are older than what they are, but they still like a puppet, even in 2nd grade. They still think he can talk, like, for real. It's kind of funny. Sometimes they're like, did you really say that? I'm like, yeah, you really said it. So we share good news with Alfie, and I tell them we only want to hear good news. So this is also my time to kind of pry into your lives. So I hear some great, some funny things for their good news. My mom last night did this, and my dad and my parents are doing this, and we're going here. So it's just always a great time for me to sit back and just really listen to what's on their heart and what's important to them. It's just always funny to hear those stories. After we share good news, then we take our first wiggle break for the day. Sometimes we'll take a talk break. Sometimes I'll tell them it's a tickle break where you can wiggle and talk at the same time. And then we get to our math lesson. After math, we go to specials at 9 o'clock. I'm reading over here my schedule. You all think I'm crazy. I'm not. I'm just reading the schedule here. When they come back in from specials, they complete their math journal. And then we get into our phonics lesson, our reading lesson. And then remember, we have 2 small group times. We have literacy stations. So I have a station in the back, and we have 3 others that they rotate throughout the week. Literacy stations, they actually come to me twice during the week. Math stations, they only come to me once during that week. But everyone does get a chance to come to me, and you work with. Normally, this year, I actually have students of 5 or less, which is a phenomenal opportunity for me to really tailor my instruction, for me to really meet each individual child's needs. And then we head off to lunch. I do want to say this. We are normally late for lunch. So lunch starts at 8:50. If you've already eaten lunch with your baby and you saw us get down there, not 8:50, what time is it? 11:50, I'm sorry. If you see us getting down there at 11:55, let me explain. There are 6 classes in 2nd grade. If I leave at the same time as everyone else, all they're going to do is just wait in that long hallway with the mural, doing absolutely nothing. So instead, I choose to maximize my instruction, and then what I do is at 11:55 on the dot, I kind of like drop everything, lunchtime, and I line up as quick as I can. But the great thing is, we walk right in. Even the lunch line, if they're buying a lunch that day, it's already clear for us. It's kind of like that traffic thing. If you go right at it, you're going to be in traffic, and might as well have just sat in your car or, stay where you were at, and then you can avoid the traffic. So I apologize in advance. I promise I'm not just keeping them and torturing them. I'm just looking at the time like, when we get down there, we'll get down there. And they don't miss that extra 5 minutes, I promise you. They never complain about, Miss Way, I need that extra 5 minutes. When we come back from, where are we at? When we come back from lunch, we start our social studies, our science lesson. We normally alternate, so some weeks we're on social studies, some weeks we'll do science. And then after that, we take recess at 1 o'clock. We come back in, we take a 5-minute restroom break, and we have a GI bug going around, so I've been encouraging the students, wash your hands. Every student in the school touches that playground. Everyone go wash your hands before you come in, just to make sure that we're not spreading germs if we don't have to. After the restroom break, we normally have our writing lesson, or sometimes this will be our SEL, the social emotional learning, or sometimes we'll have listening and learning during that time. Snack is around 2:10, and then they start getting packed up around 2:15, and then we're ready for dismissal at 2:20, and that's their day. And I pride myself in trying to provide you with exceptional service. So if there's ever a time where you just don't feel like, okay, you were satisfied with something or you need some clarification, please don't hesitate to come to me first. Please come to me first. I would love the opportunity to, whatever I did wrong, I would love to make it right. Or if I need to, clarify something or explain it again, please don't hesitate to contact me. I've already had several parents like, I'm so sorry to bother you, and I'm like, you're not bothering me. It doesn't bother me at all, I promise you. So just come to me first if you have any questions. And any questions?
Maybe you're wondering who this weird man who just peeped out into the room.
I was 4 years old. I went to Spelman. I did go to Spelman for college, but I actually went to Spelman for pre-K. That's where I got the motivation to go back for college. And I remember my pre-K teacher, she was gorgeous, and she was so smart. And I remember telling my mom, like, I want to be smart, and I want to be pretty. So I want to be a teacher. So it was very, 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 very vain back then. But now I really do have good intentions. I actually do love creating fun lessons. I love when we're doing things like an edible map. I jump out the bed in the morning. The first thing I think about, I look at my monitor, I look at my own baby, and I promise you, as soon as I look at my own baby, I see she's okay, she's breathing okay. I start thinking about your babies. I'm automatically like, okay, so-and-so needs to do this. I need to go here, I'm just thinking about your babies. So this is my dream job. My only other dream job, if I could trade places with Guy Fieri, diner, drive-ins, and dives, I'm so jealous of him. I'm like, I should have thought of that, just travel around the country and eat. That is like 2 best things, traveling and eating. I love it. Okay, one more thing. I think I talked about the Tiny Pics, the Tiny Scanner. You can find their emails. Please be patient. Yes, each month, hands-on activities. Go over questions with your scholar. Yep, take them home. Wait for lunch, Thursday. Oh, mystery reader on Thursday. I only provide 15 minutes, and that's because we have a lot to do. So please don't be too mad at me if it's already 2 o'clock and I'm kind of giving you that, like, it's just because I don't have a lot of time. I'm sorry for that. So I appreciate you coming. I really do. I know it takes a lot of sacrificing, but if you can try to just keep it to 15 minutes. Normally 2 short books are pretty good for us. All right, and I want to introduce Mr. Nolan. Mr. Nolan, come on up. He is our student teacher for this year.
Good evening, families and teachers. Our first session should now be ending. We have our PTA meeting that starts at 7 o'clock in the auditorium. Be sure to stop by our breezeway to see if there are any folks you would like to talk to about student opportunities. Our 6 o'clock session should be ending. PTA meeting starts at 7 p.m.
All right, and just give Mr. Nolan a second or two, and that's me talking too much, I'm sorry, so let me introduce Mr. Nolan.
Hello, my name is Antonio Nolan. I'm a senior at Georgia State University. I'll be graduating in December, actually. So, I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in Cobb County. I went to South Cobb High School. I was an athlete. I played basketball.
He's really great with the kids.
My dad, he went to the University of Alabama, so I'm a Crystal Tide fan. He's a teacher too, so he's kind of like a...
Good evening, families. Also, be sure to stop by our foundation table, which is in the front entry. Our wonderful Morningside Foundation is at the front entry with representatives from our Board of Trustees to answer any questions and tell you more about the foundation that is in the front entry. Thank you.
Okay. I've been at Morningside. This is my 3rd year, so I've probably been with most of you guys as kids since they were in kindergarten. So I was with Miss Baxter Holmes for kindergarten, Mrs. Spellicine for 1st grade, then I went to Hope Hill, then they brought me back here with Miss Waye. In the spring, I'll be either attending St. John's, Columbia, or Michigan State to further my education in either educational leadership or curriculum and instruction.
He's doing big things. I'm so proud of him. So you will see him. He will be a common face working with the babies. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Text me, call me, hug me. See you soon.